Hey my glam girls, this is Chelsea where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. And today, I'm so excited because Pat finally gave it to us. She finally gave us blushes, and not just one, two, or three. No honey, she was like, y'all waited long enough. I'm about to give y'all all the blushes. She gave us 9 blushes, a limited edition quad, and a new highlighter, and some lip products. And I got just about everything from this collection. This is the Divine Rose Blush collection. I cannot be more excited. Oh, okay. So in this video, of course, we're going to be doing demonstrations of all the products that I have. I will, of course, be sharing with you details about each one of these products, and then, of course, sharing with you my final thoughts at the end of the video. So please stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and spending it with me. If you are new to my channel, definitely consider subscribing. We'd love to have you. And let's just get right into this video. Before we get into the details of the blushes, let's first start with the packaging. I love this purple packaging with the gold trim. I actually like this cartridge of the box a lot better. So we're pulling it up and pulling the product out versus that tie that she normally has on the outside of her boxes. So really enjoying this. I also really enjoy that all of the boxes correspond. So this is the cartridge for the blushes. This is the cartridge for the highlighter. And then we have the same design for the quad. I like the symmetry of the cartridges and I tend to keep all of them, so I will be keeping these as well. And the lip product, I almost forgot about that. The cartridge of the lip product also matches that of the other cartridges. So I think the packaging is beautiful. I love the purple tones of this collection. And let's actually get into the blushes. So here is the outer packaging of the blushes. Sorry for the fingerprints. We turn it over on the back side and we have this here. This part right here is a sticker, but I will say this does not feel cheap. The corners feel nice and smooth compared to the quads from the holiday launch. Those corners were kind of jagged and they felt more cheap. So this packaging seems to be a little bit more of a higher quality. In terms of how big the blushes are in comparison to the quad, here is the quad and then here is the blush. So the blushes are of great size. So in terms of each blush, they do retail for $38 a piece, and we get a total of 9.7 grams or 0.34 ounces of product. So I do think we get a ton of product. Starting with the first blush that I applied, we have Divine Rose, and I did not even intend to apply that one first. It just so happens to do so. The embossing is so gorgeous. So we have this rose in the middle, and according to Pat's website, we have these rays from the sun shooting out behind the rose. Can we get more poetic than that? We can. Pat always does. I'm going to spare us the details of all of the jargon that she tends to grace us with on her website, but I am going to provide us with some high points of each one of these blushes. They are petal soft to the touch. They are composed of a silk velvet powder. They are feather light. They are very buildable, and they are mistake proof in terms of application. We have vivid color purity, and then we have 2 finishes amongst all 9 shades. The shades will either have a demi-matte formula or they will have a satin pearl finish. These are very silky, soft to the touch. So swatching Divine Rose first, this is a cool mauve rose that has a demi-matte finish. Next we have Paradise Venus. This is a terracotta with a demi-matte finish. Electric Bloom. This is a vivid coral with a demi-matte finish. Love Struck. And this is the blush I'm actually wearing today. Berry Pink with a demi-matte finish. Flirtatious. Soft Beige Pink with a demi-matte finish. Nude Venus. Peachy Pink with golden pearl. Desert Orchid. Bronze Rose with golden pearl. Nymphette. soft pink with golden pearl. And then last but not least, we have Cherish. This is a neutral pink with a demi matte finish. So here are all 9 shades of Pat's Divine Rose Blush Collection. And I think every one of these shades is just stunning. I think Pat really took her time with this. Obviously, we've been waiting for a long time. But all jokes aside, I think she really took her time to not only perfect the formula, but also to make sure she created shades that would be wearable, that would be versatile across all complexions. I think she really did such a great job with the undertones of these blushes. So first, let's talk about the formula. These blushes glided onto my skin beautifully. So when you were watching the B-roll of me applying the blushes, I had cleaned my face, and the only thing I put on my face was my La Mer Pressed Powder Foundation. I didn't want to go in with liquid and, like, you know, struggle with the drying time of liquid each time I took a blush off and put it back on. These blushes glided over the powder so smoothly. Now, a tip that she provides on her website is that she created this formula so that if you wanted to apply the blush on top of your foundation without setting your foundation, the blushes will actually melt into the skin and give you more of this just like surreal flush look on the skin. I have not tried it because I actually found that out after I applied the blushes. So I'm gonna try this technique, and then I will report back to you all in terms of how I like it. If you apply them onto set skin, which is what I did today, you get this bountiful flush and array of color on the cheeks. The shades of each blush are very buildable, and what was shocking to me were some of these lighter shades. So with this shade called Flirtasia, when I saw it in the pan, I was like, this is not showing up on my skin, but I'm going to apply it, you know, so people can see. And after about 3 applications, you actually saw the blush on my skin. Now, would this be a blush that I would probably wear on its own? For me, probably not. I would mix it with another shade so I could have a little bit more warmth. But if I wanted to wear it on its own, it's not so cool toned that it looks chalky, that it looks ashy on my skin and against my complexion. All of the other shades, I think the undertones are just perfect in terms of the pigmentation of the colors. And then also, I feel like she added warmth for the shades that needed to be warm. And then the ones that would be a little more cool, she didn't make them too cool. She made them a little more neutral so that they really do work for a plethora of complexions. I think these blushes are stunning. I can't say enough about them. Like, it was worth the wait. I love the packaging. I love the embossing of the blushes. I really feel like she truly came to slay with these blushes. Now, in terms of who can wear what blush, and, you know, if you have a lighter complexion, deeper complexion, which one will work for you? In all honesty, if you are light to even, I would say, tan deep complexion, you can pretty much get away with every one of these shades. If you are, I would say, about 2 shades deeper than me, you probably wouldn't want to get Flirtasia, this extremely light one, just because that soft beige tone might not be complimentary, probably wouldn't be complimentary against your skin tone. But every one of these other shades I think would work beautifully. If you are of a deep, rich complexion, I think the only 2 shades that you would need to probably, you know, not purchase because it just wouldn't be worth your while would be Flirtasia right here and then Nymphette right here. I think the rest of these blushes would look beautiful against a deep, dark, rich complexion. I think you wouldn't have to worry about them showing up, and then you can build them to your liking. So once again, I think Pat did an amazing job with creating these blushes with the formulations of them. I love me a shimmery blush, so I'm glad that we have a few of these blushes that have that golden pearl finish. And I love that she created the matte ones as a demi matte, so they're not totally matte. You do get just a bit of radiance from them, and I think that also helps to make sure that they're not dry, too chalky on the skin, and that the blend is just effortless. I cannot say enough about these blushes. I would say The blushes are the favorite thing out of the collection for me. Not saying anything else is not good. It's just anything you could want from a blush. If you are a blush person, Pat incorporated it into this collection. Hand clap for her. Okay, so now let's move on to the highlight. So she gave us a new highlight. And from what I saw, this highlighter is not limited edition, so that's good. Neither are these blushes. They are permanent, which is great. So this is the Skin Fetish Divine Rose Highlighter, and this particular shade is Golden Nectar. Oh, I forgot to point this out. With the blushes and the highlight, she also made a clasp that you push to open up the compact. Make sure you push in the middle, because I was kind of pushing like toward the bottom, and it took me a hot minute to get some of the compacts open. Push in the middle, you'll be fine. Okay, and of course, all of her compacts come with a mirror. So this is the Divine Rose Glow highlighter in the shade Golden Nectar. This does retail for $48, and we get 4.6 grams of product or 0.16 ounces of product. Here is the highlighter swatched on my arm, and as you can see, this is a golden, kind of peachy type of highlighter, which I really enjoy. I love me a good peach pink highlighter, and I feel like this one, now that I'm looking at it this angle, I do see some pink in it as well. So we've got this golden peachy pinky highlighter. I don't think it's too warm. It's also not too champagne-y at all. Once again, creating a shade that I think would be very complimentary against all complexions, whether you are lighter to the deep, dark, rich complexions. If you are of a fair complexion, I don't think this might work for you. I'm not sure. If you are of a fair complexion and you have this highlighter and it works, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section so we know. This highlighter is so silky to the touch. Pat said that she created it with silk properties so that it can blend effortlessly into the skin. The product features about this highlighter is that it is infused with botanical oils, which I think gives it that satin, silky-like feel to it. It doesn't feel oily at all. It doesn't look oily on the skin, but the feel of it definitely feels like there's something in there making it a little bit more emollient to the touch. We also have a high intensity glow, and then we have micro perfecting finish on the skin that, depending on the amount that you apply, and of course if applied wet or dry, it can look like glass on the skin, which it's just beautiful. I have the highlight on. I actually topped my blush with the highlight because I just couldn't get enough of it, and I was just like, give me all the highlight. And as we're speaking, I feel like some of my highlight has just kind of diminished. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit more. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's so gorgeous. Let's even things out. I just can't. I love this one. You do have a little kick up in the pan, but the powder is so fine. It's not chunky, it's not glittery or anything like that. So I really enjoy the formulation of this particular highlighter. I also enjoy, of course, the look of it on the skin. It's definitely a formula that you can control the pigmentation of it. So if you just wanted a little bit of it to just give you, you know, almost like a lit from within glow, apply a light amount and that's what you'll get. If you want to pack it on like I did on this cheek, I put a little too much on here, but hey, it's okay because y'all see it. You can definitely build that up to your liking. If you have texture on the skin, as with any highlight, you will see the texture with this highlight, but I will say if you spray your face and let the powders fuse together, it does really blend well into the skin. I had done that before I started this video, which is why I applied a little bit more because I wanted it to be a little bit more apparent, but it does definitely blend well into the skin when set with the finishing powder. So I think if you have texture, you know, apply it on the parts of your face that you don't mind being emphasized, but it's not gonna be a highlight that's gonna cling to the texture and really overemphasize it to where you're not gonna wanna wear the highlight or enjoy the highlight. I definitely think it's a highlighter that can work with textured skin. Like I said, setting it with some setting spray, applying a light amount, and then you should be good to go. So this quad is a limited edition quad. It is new to her collection. So this is the new limited edition Venus and Floors Luxe Quad, the Voyeuristic Vixen. So yes, limited edition. This does retail for $58 and we get a total of 4.9 grams of product or 0.17 ounces of product. So my assumption is that all 4 of these shades are new shades based on just my knowledge of Pat's eyeshadows. I'm not gonna take up too much time and do comparisons in this video. If you're interested in comparisons, I can do that in another video. The products and the shades are buildable. They are also versatile as well. We have intense color payoff and then creamy blendable textures. And like I had mentioned before, we can use these eyeshadows wet or dry. So first swatch, we have Moonlight Liaison. Ooh, look at that intensity. So this is more of like a champagne type of color, slightly cool in its tone, but not too cool that it can't be used with the other eyeshadows in this quad. For instance, I have placed that shade right here and also right here. And although the other tones of my eye look are quite warm, this particular eyeshadow does go and play well with it, which I do like. Then we have this shade, Rose Fire Nectar. Now touching it, it does not feel like Pat's special shades, like those Blitz Astral shades, because it is quite textured, I should say. So I've been touching it for a while, and as you can see, the texture of the eyeshadow does kind of crumble in the pan. So it's not a Blitz Astral shade, but my God, when applied and swatched, does it not look like one? So I'm assuming this is maybe a new formulation of her Blitz Astral shades, or maybe a variation of it. Either way, I am here for it. So I used that all over the lid on this particular eye, and I definitely suggest you applying this with your finger. I applied it with a brush on the lower lash line right here. I did get a ton of fallout from this particular shade when I applied it with a brush. When I applied it with my finger, number one, I got more intensity from this particular shade and I got less fallout. So definitely would suggest using your finger when applying it so that you can have less fallout. Then we have After Dusk. This is the only matte shade that's in the quad. It is a creamy matte and it is so smooth in its formulation, and it blended really nicely on the eye. Let me blend that out for y'all a little bit better. It blended really nicely on the eye. I do think if you do use a primer and it's not fully set, it will cling to that primer. So when I was blending it on this eye, I had just applied concealer to use as my primer for my eyeshadow, and it did cling in one particular spot. It took a minute for me to get it to blend all the way through. When I used that shade on this eye, that concealer had been set in terms of, I didn't put powder on top of it, but it just had time to set and dry down, and it blended much better on this eye. So I would definitely say whatever primer that you're going to use for your eyes, just make sure it's dry so that creamy matte doesn't cling too much to it. But in terms of its texture, extremely soft, and like I said, when the skin is dry, it blends effortlessly. And then lastly, we have Twilight Bronze. This particular shade is so pretty. So Twilight Bronze is here, and I love this bronzy color. It's not overly bronze, it's not too it's not like a dirty bronze either. It's just a beautiful kind of a pinky bronze if you look at it closely. And y'all know I love pink, so I'm like, give me the pinky bronze. This particular shade I have all over the eyes right here, and then also down here. I did two simple looks, but I just wanted to show all of the shades on their own, especially these shimmer metallic light shades. I wanted to kind of give them a little bit of glory on their own. And I love this quad. It's so beautiful. This is definitely a quad that if you wanted to get a simple everyday look, you could. Like, I think this eye over here is more of like a nice everyday look. It's not too much, but it's definitely not the most basic look. I think this eye over here gives us a little bit more fire, hence its name. So yes, I think this quad is definitely versatile. You can use it for, you know, a more simple daytime look, or you can jazz it up for the evening. And I'm so excited to have it. The last item that I picked up from this collection is the Divine Rose Matte Trance Lipstick. This shade Dream Lover is a new shade. It does retail for $38. And there is no description for this particular shade, but it looks like a pale pink mauve color on my lips. I think it's a gorgeous shade. I love her matte trance formula because it's not too matte. It's not overly dry on the lips, but it does have good lasting power. And it felt very creamy when I put it onto my lips. So I'm very happy that I picked that one up. So guys, that is it. I am so happy with this collection. Like I said, it was worth the wait. I think every item that I used today was just impeccable in its formulation, and I'm very, very happy that I picked up these particular products. I recommend everything that I tried today. I think it is just a beautiful collection. So like always, Pat did not fail us with this. We waited and she delivered. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Definitely let me know your comments down below. Tell me what you think about the blush, the quad, the lipstick, the highlighter. I just want to know what you guys think. And if you made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, definitely consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad because we'd love to have you. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you with your blush on in my very next video. Bye guys.